Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today what I have for everyone is my full camera walkthrough, including the photo and video samples for the iPhone 6s Plus. So we're going to take a deep dive look into the main camera interface and go over all of the quick shortcuts and features. And then we're going to take a deep dive look into the sub menus for the cameras, so y'all know exactly where to go to change the resolutions and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to cut in my photo and video samples for you guys and gals to check out. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to go over before we dive into the main camera interface is I would like to go over the two different ways that you can launch into your cameras on your iOS devices. Now, from the lock screen on your device, all you have to do is simply power on your display and then swipe to the right, and it will drop you directly into the main camera interface. Other than that, the only other way you can launch the cameras on your iOS devices is by going to the home screen, finding the camera icon, and tapping on it to take you directly into your main camera interface. Alright, now let's go over what some of these shortcuts and features and everything is here. Now we're going to do this from top to bottom, from left to right. So starting off in the upper left hand corner, we have our flash controls. Now by default this comes set to auto, but you can see if you tap on it like I've shown here, you can choose what it does. So you can set it to on, you can set it to off, or you can leave it on the auto position. Now me myself, y'all are going to get a glimpse into how I set up my camera configurations pretty much across all of my devices. Me myself, I tend to leave the flash controls set to off, because I feel like flash can really get in the way of me composing either that really good photo or that really good video. 9 times out of 10, before you take a picture, you're going to take into consideration the light before you snap that photo. So you're already going to know if you're going to want to use flash or not. Me, myself, I feel like leaving it set to auto can potentially mess up my shot. So I turn it off every time, regardless of whatever device I'm using. So you can see you could just set it just by tapping on it, and then it's set. Next to that, we have our HDR controls, and you access it similarly. So you tap on it, and then you can choose what options you want it to be set to. So out of the box, it comes set to auto. You could turn it on indefinitely. You could turn it off, so on and so forth. Now, I feel like smartphone cameras do a really good job nowadays with high dynamic range, or HDR controls, which basically just boost the colors for the dark and the shadows. Okay, so it tries to bring out the dark and the shadow areas of your photos and or videos. I feel like smartphones do a great job with that, so I leave that set to auto and I let the phone decide what's best. Okay, so we're just going to tap on auto and leave that setting where it is. Next to that, we have our live photo mode for your iOS devices. And what live photo does is it takes a little bit of video before you snap the picture, and it takes a little bit of video after. So it kind of makes a freestyle GIF without you having to do any work. Alright, to simply turn that off and on, you just have to tap on it. Now it comes on by default. To turn it off, you just tap on it, and you can see now it's off. Okay, directly next to that, we have our timer controls. And so you can see we have a 3-second timer or a 10-second timer. Now me myself, I'm more part and partial to a 5-second timer, but sometimes you don't have access to that, so you have to take what you're given or download a third-party camera app. It's up to you. Alright, so I'm gonna just leave this set to 3 seconds. I'll work with what I have. Okay, then directly next to that, we have our filters, and we have a few filters to choose from. So we got normal or no filter, and you can see all the other options here: vivid, dynamic, dynamic warm, dynamic cool, noir, silver tone, mono. So there's a few filters here to choose from, and you just need to decide what you think is going to work best. Okay? It's all about what you think is best when it comes to using your cameras and taking advantage of these features. Now, me myself, I just leave it set to original or normal, and then I tap on the filter icon again to turn off that option. Alright, so that goes over the top part of the camera interface, quick settings and features. Then right below that we have our main viewfinder, and then right below that we have quick access to all of our modes. Now, to access your different modes in the main iOS viewfinder, you simply tap on the mode you want, like so, or you can swipe right to left to get through each of your modes. So you can see if I swipe to the left, it goes through the modes left-wise. If I swipe to the right, it goes through the modes right-wise. Alright, so let's go through all these modes from left to right. So on the far left, we have time-lapse video. Okay, that's pretty much self-explanatory. Then next to that, we have slow motion video. And you can shoot slow motion videos on your iOS devices, starting with your 6S and up, in up to 1080p at 30 FPS, or 1080p 30 FPS, 1080p 120 frames per second, okay, or 720p 240 frames per second. My mistake, y'all. Okay, then right next to that we have our primary video mode, and you can see across the top in the upper left hand corner we have access to our flash controls. So again, on, off, auto. Alright, I tend to leave that turned off for video as well. Then right across from that we have our timer, so we know exactly how long our video has been recording for. And then right next to that, in the far right hand corner, we have an indication as to the resolution that our camera is currently set to. Okay? So that's the primary video mode. And one neat thing that I like about iOS devices is you have completely unlimited video recording. So there are no limit restrictions on your iOS devices. So I got to give kudos to Apple in that area. Whereas for Android devices, you do have limit restrictions depending on the resolutions that you decide to record at. So kudos Apple for taking off those restrictions and letting us just go full out when we want to record our videos. Okay, the only limit you have on your iOS devices is you're limited by the space on your device. So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind. Alright, now moving back to the right, we can come back to our primary photo mode. Then we have our square mode, and this is pretty much just a lower resolution photo mode, perfect for sharing on things like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Okay, but you still have access to all of the same features, so flash, HDR, timer, filters, so on and so forth. And then in the far right hand corner, we have access to our panoramic photos. So you can take photos from left to right or top to bottom, depending on how you want to do it. Just follow the on-screen instructions and you'll get a nice stitched together panoramic photo. Okay, so that goes over all the main modes for your iOS devices in terms of the cameras. Then directly below the mode switcher, we have our main shutter button, which changes to a recording button depending on the mode that we're in. So you can see if I switch to video, it turns into a red video recording button. If I go back to photo, it turns into a white photo shutter button. Okay, directly next to that, on your bottom left hand side, we have a quick shortcut to our photo gallery, and we can see our previously taken photo in there. So, and directly next to that, on your right hand side, we have a quick shortcut to switch to our front facing camera. So tapping on this will switch us directly to our front facing camera. Now, one thing that I want to mention here is that on the rear, we have a primary 12 megapixel sensor. On the front, we have a primary 5 megapixel sensor. Okay, And a few things that we can't do with the front-facing camera that we can do with the rear is we can't record panoramic photos with the rear. So you can see if I go to pano, it's going to kick us back to the rear-facing camera here. Boom. So we can't do panoramic photos with the rear-facing cameras. But we can do square. Okay. We can do regular photo. To do video. We can't do slow motion. But we can do time lapse. Okay. So the two features that you don't have access to with your front-facing camera is slow motion and panoramic photos. Okay. Everything else you can do the same on the rear as you can do on the front, or you can do the same on the front as you can do on the rear. Okay. Now I also want to mention that in terms of resolution, you can only record in a max resolution of up to 1080p with the front-facing camera. Okay. Can't go higher than 1080p with the front-facing camera. Alright. Now, this goes over the core features and layout of the iOS main camera interface. Now, let's go over how you would dive into the sub settings or the sub menu for your iOS devices in terms of the cameras. Now, this is something that I'm not happy with when it comes to iOS devices, because to get into the sub settings, you have to completely leave the main camera interface. So to do that, we got to tap the home button. Okay. Then go into our settings, and then we want to scroll till we get to our camera settings, and then tap on that. Okay. And this is where you have access to all these sub settings for your main camera interface. And everything you change here will be changed for the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera as well as the 5 megapixel front-facing camera. So we got our presets here, our preserved settings right here. So you can set it up so the camera remembers the last mode that you was in and takes you directly to it as soon as you launch into the main camera interface. Okay, just by toggling that toggle there. And the same thing for the filters, so it will remember the last filter that you have used and jump you right back to that filter. Okay, so if you have a particular mode that you like to use and or a particular filter that you like to use, I recommend that you use these options. Toggle it on, jump back in there, set it the way you want, and then jump back out, and it will remember exactly how you have it saved. Okay, and also it would do the same thing for your live photos. Okay, so these are your preserved settings or presets. That's what I like to call them. Then if we jump out of that, you do have your grid guideline controls. Now you can only turn on a 3x3 grid or turn it off. You have no other options in terms of grid controls. Then you could turn off your barcode scanner, turn on or turn off your barcode scanner for your main camera interface. And this below that, this is where you can control the resolutions for your front and your rear facing cameras. So if we dive into this setting here, you can see all of the resolutions for your front and your rear facing camera. Keep in mind, the front facing camera can only record in up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. Okay, but everything that you change here will be changed for the primary rear facing camera as well as the front facing camera. Okay, resolutions restricting. Okay, and I gotta give Apple kudos yet again, because I do like this clean and simple layout, and they have provided all the necessary information that you need to know. So you can see below your recording resolution options, they do have a nice little key that lets you know what each resolution takes up in terms of space approximated to the minute. So you can see 720p video takes up 60 megabytes per minute. 1080p video takes up 130 megabytes per minute. 1080p 60 video takes up 175 megabytes per second per minute. My mistake. And 4K video takes up 350 megabytes per minute. Okay, so the only thing that you're limited by is the space on your device. And I gotta say, big kudos for Apple for this layout. So although I don't like the fact that they have you leave your main composition window or your main camera interface, I do like how they've chosen to lay this out. But why not just add a gear setting and then add this shortcut into that gear setting in the main camera interface? This way we don't have to go so far away from our main camera interface. Okay, that's just my 2 cents. That's how I feel about it. But this is how you access this setting, and this is how you change your resolutions. Okay, jumping out of that, you can do the same thing for your slow motion video. So if we tap here, you can change your slow motion video resolutions, and you can see the same type of layout. So 1080p 120 frames per second takes up approximately 350 megabytes per minute, and 720p 240 frames per second, which is the default, as you can see, takes up approximately 300 megabytes per minute. Okay, so good stuff there. And then right below that, this is where you can turn off your best HDR photo blend. Okay, so what this setting is when you have it turned on, it takes a combination of photos and then it processes them and gives you the absolute best image. Okay, so this is a little bit different than the HDR that we went over in the main camera interface, and you could toggle that off and on depending on how you think it performs. Okay, as I already said, I think all forms of HDR are pretty good, so I generally tend to keep that on. Alright, now this pretty much goes over all of the camera settings and the main camera interface on your iOS devices. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in the photo and the video samples for you guys and gals to check out. And as I always do, if this video runs over 35 to 45 minutes, I'll go ahead and throw in the timestamps so you guys and gals can feel free to jump around to the parts of the video that you would like to see and or know more about. So all your timestamps will be located down below in the video description, depending on how long this video is, for your convenience. Alright, so I hope you guys and gals enjoyed the rest of this video, and I'll catch you guys and gals in my next video. Have a good one, everybody. Peace. on the iPhone 6s Plus. And this is being recorded in 720p at 30 frames per second. And we're using the phone stabilizer here today. Let me know what y'all think. That water kind of looks very serene right now. Make you boy wanna dive in. Not really, I can't swim that good.
Yeah, me neither.
We're not diving in like that. Anyways, quick little clip. Let me know what y'all think. Alright, we out of here. Shaky. Alright, y'all, and now we are back in. It's the last day the family is visiting, so we're out here at one of our favorite spots. This is Castaway Point. And now I gave y'all the rear-facing camera sample, so now we're testing out the front-facing camera, 5 megapixels, on the iPhone 6s Plus, and this is in 720p. And I got my baby cousin right over here. Say hi, Aunt.
Hi.
Yeah. Alright, so real quick clip. Let me know what y'all think of this. I wonder how the audio is going to sound. We'll hear on the playback. Alright, have a good one, y'all. Alright. Very excited to bring this to y'all. Very excited. So, the S6 active coverage is done. This means that I can finally move into the coverage that I've been wanting to bring to you guys for the longest. So now my 3 daily drivers will be moving forward the Samsung Galaxy M20, the Motorola Moto G7 Power, and the iPhone 6s Plus. Alright, those will be the 3 daily drivers moving forward. So we're jumping into this first set of camera tests right here. This is using the rear-facing 12 megapixel sensor on the iPhone 6s Plus. And this is being recorded in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second. Really good stuff here. So we're going to do some pans, we're going to do some exposure tests, we're going to do some zoom testing, and then we're going to wrap it up. Alright? Yes. So we're going to pan from there all the way through to right about here and back. We're going to do this 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's go into the exposure testing now. So let's pan down to the ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to pan up and out to the big tree in the distance. And as always, when we test the exposure, we're looking for a nice smooth transition from the lighter areas of the video to the darker areas of the video, or the darker areas of the video to the lighter areas of the video, with minimal exposure blowout when we transition from those focus points. And if the camera does blow out, we want it to recover as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So here we go, pan down to the ground, and now we're panning up and out. We're gonna do this 3 times. Alright, now we're on the tree, boom, go back down to the ground, boom, come back up to the tree, boom, oh yeah, it's definitely blowing out, coming back down to the ground, boom, but it recovers quickly. It blows out severely, but it recovers quickly, back up to the tree, boom. Alright, the next thing we want to do now is test the focusing speeds. Now on the iPhone 6s Plus, we do have tap to focus and continuous autofocus. So starting off, the first thing we're going to test is the continuous autofocus. So we're going to use these 3 focus points. We're going to use the tree in the distance, we're going to use this pillar right here, and we're going to use the tree at the other end of the driveway, and we're going to cycle through them real quick. And I want you guys and gals to let me know when you think the cameras are in focus down below in the comments. Okay? Alright, Alright, now we're going to use the tap to focus and see if we can see any differences. Here we go. Now we're locked on the tree. Now we're locked on the pillar. Now we're locked on the other tree. I saw little to no differences there. Let's go again. Tree over here. Pillar right in front. Tree in the distance. What you think? What you think? One more time. Tree in the distance. Pillar in front. Tree at the other end of the driveway. Focus is really quick, but I don't see any exposure adjustments going on or anything like that. Really good stuff though. So when you tap to focus, you get a green square indicating that focus is locked. Alright, so to round out the video now, let's test the zoom. Alright, now I'm not even sure how much zoom iPhones have. Let's use the tree as a focus point and let's zoom in. Let me see what the max zoom is here. No indication of how much that is. Alright, so I don't even know. I have no idea. So let's take it up to half. This is half. I'm not sure where that is, but on the bar it says half. We're halfway to full. Alright, let me know what y'all think. Now, the colors look good. The detail looks good. It does darken up in the shadows, but it still looks really good. And this is at half the zoom bar because there's no indication of what zoom level we're at. Let's go, let's check the grass across the distance there. Colors look good. Also, let me know what y'all think of the stabilization. I'm not sure about the stabilization properties on the iPhone camera, but I will let y'all know in the full review. If not the camera walkthrough portion of the video, either one of those, I'll have some nice solid information for y'all when those videos roll out. Alright, so this is half zoom. Let's take it up to full zoom now. Okay, now we're at full zoom. And it is overexposing. But it's still recovering really nicely. The grass looks good. Now these shadows are really dark. Let's see if we pan down to something close. Yeah, we still got a lot of detail there. It's not bad. It does have a tendency to get dark, but it's not bad. Alright, not mad at this. Anyway, this is the first camera test. Whoops, shaky cam. Of the iPhone 6s Plus. And this is the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera. Alright, now let me spin the cameras around and let's test the front-facing 5 megapixel sensor, I believe it is. Now, if I'm wrong at any part of this video, feel free to correct me down below in the comments, or I will correct myself with an annotation up on the screen. So y'all be on the lookout for those annotations if I make any mistakes. Now let's test out the front-facing 5 megapixel camera, and then we'll move. Okay, and now we are here testing out the front-facing 5 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second. And as with all these tests, I do not have any external microphones hooked up here today. If I do plug in an external microphone, I'll be sure to let y'all know or throw up an annotation on the screen. So y'all be on the lookout for that. But here we go. This is the front-facing camera test outside in daylight. We're sitting in the shade here today. How do y'all feel the audio is doing? How do you feel the stabilization is? How do you feel about the detail and the focus? Now, I do have to hold this pretty far because if I come up to my regular length, it actually crops in the video pretty good. But let me know what y'all think of the detail. How's it doing with my skin tone? How's it doing with the background and the exposure? Let me know. Yeah, this is super close. I got to stretch my arm out to get a decent length. Alright, so this was the front-facing 5 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. Let me know what y'all think of this footage. Now let's move on to some other tests. I'll be right back. Alright, how's everybody doing today? again with another video test sample for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is another camera sample test using rear-facing cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus. Today we're out here by the school today, and we're recording in 1080p at 60 fps. So we're going to run through the usual testing. We're going to do some pan tests. We're going to do some focus tests. We're going to do some exposure tests, some zoom testing, so on and so forth. And then we'll wrap the video up. Okay? Now starting off, I just decided to start with some nice stationary footage. Alright? So this is what some stationary footage will look like. And now let's pick everything up and start the test. On a side note, we do have a hurricane getting ready to come in Florida here. So if y'all notice that the pool deck is a little bit clearer than usual, that's because we're packing stuff up and getting stuff tied down. So y'all can see it's very Spartan out here today. And that's the reason why. Anyway, let's get this started. So we're going to pan from here all the way through to right about there. And back, we're going to do this 3 times. So that was 1. This is 2. And here we go with number 3. Bam. So that's the 3 pans. Now let's do the exposure test. I pan down to the ground here. Alright, iPhone, I see you. That's spot on accurate almost. Alright, now if I pan down, it does brighten it up. Right about here, it's spot on accurate. So we're going to pan up and out to the water heater. And we're looking for a nice smooth transition from the darker areas to the lighter areas with minimal exposure blowout. And if the cameras do blow out, we need them to recover as fast as possible. Side note, anybody ever noticed that before big weather disasters, the weather's always its nicest? I mean, wow. Hurricane not hit until Tuesday, but right now it's Saturday and this weather is beautiful out here. There's a little side note. Answer that question for me down below in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Anyways, let's do this. So let's pan up and out now. And we're at the water heater, and wow, that got dark quick, didn't it? Let's go back down. That's pretty good. And let's go back up. Yeah, that's darkening up something fierce. But the transition is smooth. Let's go back down. And let's go back up for the last time. Boom. Okay. Alright, now let's do some focusing tests here. Then we'll wrap this bad boy up with the zoom testing and move on to testing the front-facing camera. So let's pick some focus points. Let's pick the pool there, the pool ball there, that's 1. Let's pick the mango tree, that's 2. And what else? Let's do this other pool ball right here, that's 3. Alright, now the iPhone does have continuous focus as well as tap to focus. So let's see how the continuous focus does first. Let's go over to the blue ball here. And I think it's in focus. Alright, let's go up to the mango tree. And I think that's in focus. That actually looks really good. Go back to the blue ball here. Alright. And then let's go over to the pink ball here. Boom. Go to the blue ball. Boom. Go to the pink ball. Boom. Alright, so this continuous autofocus looking pretty good. Now I'm noticing that it tends to lean a little dark when you let the phone try and decide for itself. And only when the lighting is perfect does it brighten up. Alright, so this is the test of the continuous autofocus. Alright, now let's do the tap to focus. And you get a nice green square when everything is in focus. So here we go. Pink ball, lock, blue ball, lock, mango tree, lock. One more time. Blue ball, lock, pink ball, lock, mango tree, lock. Okay, so it's very, very subtle. You gotta pay very close attention to see the differences between the tap to focus and the continuous autofocus. Let's do it one last time. Mango tree, lock, blue ball, lock, pink ball, lock. Okay, not bad, not bad. And when you tap to lock focus, you can also control the exposure as well. Nice little exposure slider pops up when you lock your focus. And you can see I can make it brighter, I can overexpose it, or I can make it dark. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Alright, now let's test the zoom and let's get up out of here. Alright, so let's use the mango tree. And this is with no zoom. Now let's pinch it up. Now the thing I don't like about iPhone is you get a little scroll ball, but it doesn't give you any indication as to what the actual zoom is. So I have no idea what the zoom ranges are here. Alright, so you can see the zoom is actually very smooth, but I have no indication as to what it's on. So this is no zoom right here. Let's take it up to, let's go to half. This is halfway in the slider, and that still looks pretty good. And this is 3/4 of the way. Ooh, now that started to overexpose. Alright, let me know what y'all think of the colors, the stabilization, the detail. Alright, you know, this zoom ain't half bad. Now let's max it out. So this is max zoom on your iPhone 6s Plus. Alright, that's pretty good. Now it is overexposing the image, but the overall representation is not bad. You do lose some detail, but if you focus on something close up or further out, it does recover. So the zoom on the iPhone isn't half bad. Sorry about that, y'all. Recycling truck rolling through. Yeah, this zoom isn't half bad. I wouldn't be mad at this. Alright? Granted, I would still recommend that you don't zoom in max, that you pick a nice focus length and then get physically as close to your subject as possible. But the zoom on the iPhone ain't half bad, not at all. Alright, let's take it out. And we're back to no zoom. Alright, so this was a real quick rear-facing camera test of the iPhone 6s Plus in 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second. Now let's go ahead and test out the front-facing 5-megapixel camera in 1080p, 30 FPS, and then we'll go inside and do some daytime low-light testing. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back in with another camera sample test for y'all. This time we're testing out the front-facing 5-megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. This portion of the video is being recorded in 1080p at 30 FPS. That's actually the maximum recording resolution for the front-facing cameras. So you can only record up to 1080p in 30 FPS with the front-facing cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus. That being said, I wanted to start off this portion of the test with some nice stationary footage. So this would be perfect for some vlog style footage. You know, if I wanted to shoot an update video, so on and so forth, this is what that would look like. So let me know what y'all think of the detail, the colors, the focus, the stabilization, so on and so forth. Alright? Cool. Now let's go ahead and pick everything up and we'll move the camera around a little bit. Alright, here we go. Alright, so now it's up in my hand here. And how do you feel the camera is doing? As we move around a little bit here, how do y'all feel about the exposure? How do y'all feel about the focus? How's the detail doing? How's the stabilization? How's the overall audio performance? Now we do have the water heater running in the background, so it is actually getting a good test today of how good these mics are at filtering out background noise. So let me know what y'all think. All in all, I have to say, throughout my testing of the iPhone camera so far, this is a pretty good phone with some pretty good cameras. Now, you do have to be mindful of the amount of light coming into the cameras, but that's becoming more and more a staple of smartphone cameras. If you don't have good light, then you're probably not going to get a good image or a good video, but these are pretty good. Alright, let me know what y'all think. Let's run inside now. We're going to close up those shades, and we're going to see how these cameras perform in daytime low light settings. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, y'all, so now we're back in. Now I'm indoors, and this is daytime low light settings, and we're testing out the front facing 5 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus, and this is being recorded in 720p. Alright, so as we've been doing, decided to start this one off with some nice stationary front facing vlog style footage. So this seems pretty good for an update video, or things of that nature. Let me know what y'all think of this. And we're not using an external microphone, so all the audio is being recorded via the mics on the iPhone 6s Plus. Alright, let's pick this up and see how the stabilization goes. Alright, move it around a little bit. Please forget a mess. Y'all see in the background, it is what it is. And also, please forget the dirty clothes. We're going to wash clothes in a little bit. Alright, what y'all think of this? Alright, how's the stabilization? How's the detail? How's the focus? How's the audio? Let me know. Alright, now let's spin the camera around. Let's do the same lighting scenario with the rear facing 12 megapixel camera, and we'll move on to another test. I'll be right back. Alright, here you guys and gals have it. Rear facing, daytime, low light settings with the 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. Some stationary footage for y'all. Again, no external microphones hooked up, so all the audio and the video is coming straight from the iPhone 6s Plus itself. Now let's pick everything up. Let me know what y'all think of this footage. And y'all can see the shades are closed, and it is daytime. Alright, what do y'all think? This actually doesn't look too bad. Now if I angle it down like this, I can use that. But there's some weird overexposure going on here, and I think that's because there's not too much light on the scene here today. I feel like the front-facing camera did a better job. Anyway, let me know what y'all think of this one. Alright, now we're going to wait till a little bit later on and do these tests again in 1080p and 1080p 60 respectively, and we're going to do that in artificial lighting. Alright, I'll see you guys and gals in the next test. Have a good one, everybody. Okay, so now we are recording with the front-facing 5 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus in 1080p resolution at 30 frames per second. Now we're indoors, nighttime, artificial lighting here, so if we pan up, that's the only thing we have lighting up the scene here this evening. So let me know what y'all think. Man, just looking from the viewfinder here, I have to say it looks pretty good. Now, it's overexposing the white on my walls and my door, something fierce. But the detail on my skin and face and the color of my complexion is looking pretty good. Let me know what y'all think. This has no external microphone hooked up, so let me know what y'all think of the mics. Let me know what you think of the overall camera footage down below in the comments. Alright, now let's move on to the next test. Let me spin this around real quick and we'll check out the rear facing 12 megapixel sensor. I'll be right back. Alright, and now we're in the same artificial lighting settings. Alright, so you can see it is nighttime, and we only have the artificial room light lighting up the scene right there. And this is the rear facing 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. Alright, and this is in 1080p at 60 FPS. Alright, let me know what y'all think of this. Okay, let me set it down, give y'all some nice stationary footage. Alright, so this is nice and stationary. Let me know what y'all think of the stabilization. Let me know what you think of the audio. Just pick it up. Alright. Now, one thing that I'm noticing with the rear-facing cameras, you really do need some good lighting, because if the lighting is even the slightest bit dim with the iPhone, you get this overtone of like a darker image. Like you can see the table here is actually a lot darker than it is in person. So I'm not sure what that's all about. And if I go over to my S6 Active here, you see how much darker this is? Now, it's a camo blue, but it should actually be a little bit lighter camo blue. Now it's a dark blue, but it's actually a little bit lighter in the center here. And you see how much darker the iPhone cameras are making it? Crazy, man, crazy. Check out the detail that it's able to pick up. Alright, we're not going to make this too much longer. Alright, let me know what y'all think of this overall footage from the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. Once again, this is being recorded in 1080p at 60 FPS. And this is the low light artificial lighting test. Okay, a little bit later on this week, we'll go out to the big yard and we'll finish up with the 4K test. And it's going to be so refreshing to do the 4K test without having to worry about running out of time and being able to record in true 4K. It's going to be awesome. Anyways, I'll see you guys and gals in the next clip. Have a good one, everybody. Peace. Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is the 4K video test with the iPhone 6s Plus. So we're going to test out the front and the rear facing cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus. And one thing I gotta remind y'all is the front cameras max out at 1080p 30 FPS and the rear cameras max out at 4K 30 FPS. So this first test you guys and gals are seeing is with the rear facing 12 megapixel camera in 4K resolution at 30 FPS. And we're out here in the big yard today and we're gonna run through the usual tests. So we're gonna do some pans, we're gonna do some focus tests, we're gonna do some zoom tests, and then we're gonna wrap the video up. Alright, and I apologize if the audio is not too good. It's kind of windy today, as y'all can see, but the weather's still decent enough to get outside, so I figured let's get it in. So starting off, we're gonna do some pans. So we're gonna pan all the way from here, right about there, all the way through to right about there. And we're going to do this 3 times. So you ready? Start here. 1. Keep it steady, son. 1. Come on back. Here's number 2. Oh, this breeze finna knock me over, man. Number 2. Come on back. Alright, and here we go with number 3. Alright. come back to the center here. Now let's do some exposure testing. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the tree here. We're going to pan all the way up to down to the ground. I said up, down to the ground, and we're going to pan up and out to back to the tree in the distance. And what you guys and gals want to see is a nice smooth transition from the darker shadowy areas to the lighter shadowy areas out in the distance. So here we go. Let's pan down. We're going to do this 3 times as well. All right, here we go. Alright, so now we're panning down to the grass here. Now let's pan up and out to the tree. And let me know what y'all think. Now I'm standing underneath my favorite tree here. So technically I am in the shade, but it's super sunny out today. So I wonder how the cameras are going to perform. Here we go. Let's do this 3 times. Up and out. Okay, yeah, you can definitely see it. So that's 1. You notice the difference in exposure. So when I'm down to the ground here, let's do number 2 now. Alright, that's 2. And now let's do number 3. So coming back to the ground. Alright, that's a little far. My hand's starting to hurt. Okay, so let's go back up. And that's 3. Alright, so how do you think the iPhone did? To me, it looked pretty good, but it does look a little dark when I pan out to the distance there. Ooh, breeze is tight. Oh boy, it does look a little dark when I pan out to the distance, but I'm wondering if that same darkness is going to come through in the final result here. Okay, so now let's test out the focusing speeds. So let's pick some focus points here and try not to fall over. The breeze is serious today. So let's use the tree out in front right here. Alright, and then let's use this other tree over here. We'll use that one over there. And then we're going to use, I'm going to use the tree over the shed right there. That one looks good. Alright, so now the iPhone does have continuous autofocus as well as tap to focus. So what I want to test is the tap to focus. So I'm going to tap the screen and I'm going to report when the phone says it's in focus. Y'all let me know if the phone is actually in focus. And I got to hurry up because my back and everything's starting to hurt. So let's try and move this along. So tapping the tree here. Let's start here. Bam, I got a lock. Alright, now let's go over this way. Let's go down to this tree right here. Get this in the frame. Bam, I got a lock. What do you think? This one actually looks better than the other one. And then let's go over here. Now, did I say that tree or that tree? I think I said the small tree. So let's tap here. And I got a lock. Okay? Now I'm noticing that it seems to be a little bit darker after I tap on it. I'm not sure what the deal is. But the focusing speed seems to be relatively quick. Let's do that one more time. So let's go back over. Alright. And let's tap on this tree over the shed. Locked it up. And see, yeah, it stays pretty dark still. And then if we come down this way and go over, man, I'm about to fall over. Let's tap here. Bam. Yeah, it's still pretty dark overall. I think the exposure on the iPhone tends to run a little dark. I'm not sure why. Anyways, let's go back to the last focus point here. Alright, this tree right here. Bam. Okay, so all in all, the focusing speeds seem to be really, really good. I have to say, no issues with the focusing speeds. Let me know what y'all think of the stabilization as well as the overall audio performance, because there's no external microphone hooked up here today. Alright? So let me know what y'all think. How is the iPhone 6s Plus doing? Now let's test the zoom. Let's use the tree over the shed again. And this is with no zoom. Now the thing about the iPhone that I don't like is I can't actually tell what zoom I'm on because there's no number indication. It's literally just a sliding level with a white ball on it. So I don't know what's 1x zoom, 2x zoom, or what have you. So literally we're just gonna have to eyeball this, y'all, and let me know. So let's zoom in. I'm not sure how far this is. That was about what, 2 pinches. Okay, what do y'all think? How's the stabilization? How's the focus? How's the detail? Let me tap and make sure it's focused. Yeah, it seems to be really dark for some reason. I'm not sure why. Alright, so now let's keep going. And that's max zoom right there. I think that's 4x, I'm not sure. So what do y'all think of the stabilization at max zoom? What do y'all think of the focus and the detail? Now the tree itself looks a little dark through the viewfinder, and as I always say, I would never recommend zooming in this far. My max recommendation for zoom is 2x, and then you need to physically get as close to your subject as possible. But what do y'all think of this? Okay, all right, let me zoom out. All right, let's zoom out here. There we go. It's a little bit tough because I can't really tell what's going on when we're zooming inside this camera app. Anyways, this has been my 4K camera test of the iPhone 6s Plus. This again was the rear facing cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus. And you know, I know this camera test may seem a little nonchalant because for the first time in a long time, I don't have to worry about any type of limit recording restrictions while I'm trying to get this sample done for y'all. So I can just relax, take my time, try and get everything as best as possible, and I don't have to worry about running into a limit or running out of space. So it's pretty good. Anyways, now let's test the front-facing cameras, and then we'll bring the testing on the iPhone 6s Plus to a close. So I'll be right back. Alright y'all, and now we are back in. This time we're testing out the front-facing 5-megapixel camera on the iPhone 6s Plus. And I decided to stand up today, so we got to make this video a little quick because my legs are actually going out on me and my back is already going out on me. So we're going to do this one quick here. So what do y'all think of this? What do y'all think of the detail of the front-facing cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus? This is being recorded in max resolution at 1080p. Alright? So, what do y'all think of the detail? What do y'all think of the exposure? Now, my arm is kind of tired, so I can't really pan how I usually do. But I do apologize for that. But still. Now, how do I feel about the cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus? Well, I've had this bad boy for a while now, and I've done a bunch of testing, and you guys have seen a bunch of samples hit the channel, whether you knew it or not. I've tested this camera in 720p. I've tested it in 1080p, both at 30 frames and 60 frames, and I've tested it in 4K, and I've done that in full review fashion. So some of the videos that I posted were shot exclusively on this iPhone 6s Plus, and I gotta say, for the most part, they turned out pretty good as long as I was mindful of the lighting. Now, there were a few times where I didn't have the best lighting and it didn't turn out so hot, but it is what it is. As I always say, as long as you try your best, you should be proud of your work, and I try my best on all of my coverage for you guys and gals. That being said, I actually like the cameras on the 6s Plus. And probably the thing that I like the most is the fact that if I decide to shoot in 4K, I don't have to worry about, number one, running up against a limit restriction, okay? And number two, the phone overheating or freezing. So now with the iPhone 6s Plus, I'm more inclined to shoot more 4K content. Okay, but that being said, if I was to shoot more 4K content, I'd probably still downsample it to 1080p to 720p, because I only have a 720p TV to watch it back on. So it is what it is. Okay, but yeah, for the most part, if you're looking at picking up an older iPhone and you know you're going to be doing a lot with the cameras, as long as you're mindful of the lighting, you should still be able to get some really solid performance out of these cameras. And I actually look forward to keeping this phone around for a very long time. Okay, and I'll probably keep it for about a year, and then I'll upgrade to the next one. So y'all will see the 7 Plus on the channel sometime in the future. Now, I'm not going to give y'all a definite on that, because y'all know we bring these things in as we have the funds to bring these things in. Okay, but let me know what y'all think of this. Let me know what y'all think of the stabilization, the audio, the video, the detail, so on and so forth. And as always, I hope y'all enjoyed this coverage of these cameras on the iPhone 6s Plus. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.